The Google Console crawl area is another place you can uncover problems with your website. So in this lesson, I'll explain what's there and what it can do for you. Starting in the crawl errors area, we can see just that, problems that Google's search bots encountered when crawling your site, when trying to download pages from your site. The three boxes at the top show possible errors stopping the system reaching the site: DNS, domain name system errors, server connectivity errors, and problems downloading the robots.txt file. Now, don't worry about these labels. The labels describe the possible problem, not the status. As long as you have these green circles with check marks in them, you're fine. Then below, we see problems with specific pages on your site for both computers trying to reach the site and smartphones. In this case, we can see that although Google is trying to reach certain pages that are missing, the server isn't returning the proper error of 404. You can fix problems you find in this table and then tell Google it's been fixed. Okay, the crawl stats area. This shows you how many pages Google crawled on your site over time, the size of the pages downloaded, and the average time it took to download a page. You can check this area for anomalies. For instance, if you see that Google suddenly stopped indexing your site, you might have been penalized if you're playing SEO tricks. Of course, you'd also want to look in the Messages area and the Manual Actions option in the Search Traffic menu. Or perhaps there are server problems that were blocking Google. Fetch as Google is a neat little tool. You can use this to ask Google to grab a page from your site and see how Google sees it, either the raw HTML it's pulled or a rendered page. Enter a path into the text box and then select the kind of fetch you want: a regular desktop computer fetch or a fetch for a mobile device. You can then click the Fetch button to have Google just grab the code, or Fetch and Render if you want to see how Google sees the page. It may take a few moments for Google to retrieve the page. Once it has, you can click on the entry. Here's an example of the raw HTML code that Google fetched. And here's an example of a page that Google actually rendered, showing what it looks like to Google and what it looks like to the user. You can also submit the page to the Google index if it isn't already in there. You can submit up to 500 individual pages each month, or 10 pages if you want Google to also index the pages linked to from that page. Google will actually go index the page very quickly, so this is a good way to get a new site indexed. Let's take a look at the robots.txt tester. Remember, we discussed robots.txt earlier in the course. When you load the tester, it shows your current robots.txt file. If this area is blank, it's because either it can't find the file, it should be in the root directory, the same directory as your home page, or perhaps you only just uploaded the file and Google hasn't yet gone looking for it. So here's a quick tip. To get Google to load the robots.txt file you just loaded, click the Submit button, then the blue Submit button at the bottom of this dialog box. Then wait a few minutes while Google gets the file and reload the page. Over on the right, we have this link. Click it to see your actual live robots.txt file if you want. It'll open in a new browser tab. So the tester shows the content of your robots.txt file. The tester may display warnings. You can see here there's a warning on the last line because sitemap has been mistyped, sitmap. Remember, this is the line telling search engines where your sitemap is, as we saw in an earlier lesson. So I can edit that, change it to sitemap, and the error goes away. Now let's edit the disallow line. I'm going to test at the bottom of the page to see if the system can reach my home page. Of course, I can enter the path of a particular page in the text box if I wish to see if the robots.txt file is blocking a particular area. I can even pick the particular Googlebot I'm concerned about, the regular organic index Googlebot, the Googlebot used to retrieve news, the one for images or video, and so on. Then I click the button and the tester warns me that I have a mistake in my code. So I'll fix the problem and test again. Now it's fine. Okay, so I've fixed my robots file. Now what? Well, I'll click the Submit button. I'll click the Download button and Google will download a text file with the modified robots.txt content onto my computer. I can upload the file to my website and then click the View Uploaded Version button to open the current robots.txt file in a new browser tab just to check it, just so I can make sure I uploaded it properly. Then I can click the Submit button to have Google go retrieve it. In a few minutes I can reload the page to see the updated file in the tester. We've seen the sitemaps area in an earlier lesson when I submitted a sitemap to Google. This area shows information about the different sitemaps you've submitted. Remember, you can have different types for web pages, images, video, and so on. It will also show you how many of the files in the sitemap have been indexed. Finally, the URL parameters. This area provides a way to tell Google to ignore certain URL parameters, such as session IDs, to avoid Google indexing duplicate content. This is a pretty advanced subject, though, and dangerous to use unless you really know what you're doing, and also not the sort of thing most people taking this course are going to fool with. I might post an advanced lesson on this subject at some point, but for now we're going to skip ahead. So that's the Search Console crawl area. It contains some pretty interesting information and tools. You might want to take a few minutes now and review your site in here. In particular, check for crawl errors and make sure your robots.txt file isn't causing any problems.